This is Professor Ju speaking. This will be the advanced lesson on bamboo. So I called this is the bamboo lesson number 2. On screen, you see one of my scrolls. Surely they are in green color, and it's a bamboo showing the lower part with bamboo shoots. And this tape, I'm going to not only explain how to make a bamboo ordinary way, but also have some advanced lessons, such like bamboo shoots, old broken bamboo, and a bamboo in the wind, bamboo in the rain, and a very young bamboo, and a very old bamboo. And this is my lesson, bamboo number 2. This is another part of my screen. This is showing a bird underneath. And notice the feathers on the body of the birds. They're so similar to the bamboo leaves. This is furthermore showing the leaves connected to the bending branches. And they are all going down. And here is the last part of my screen showing the year of dog, early summer. I painted this. And at the very corner also I have a bird. But this is a tea house screen with the birds from the side. Now this is the first thing you have to learn, is the way how to make a trunk. You pause at the very beginning, then you move steadily, very fast to the other part. Now once again, this is the first section, always shorter. The second one slightly longer. The third one suppose the longest. Please pay attention to the joint. I never make the joint for the next bamboo same height. Now I make the number 3. I have the joint purposely arranged, alternated, and bamboo behind it. Many times I pick up my brush. Now here is the nut, the joint, by pausing on one side and moving to the other side. And they are all slightly curved. The curving suggests the 3-dimension. Now here quickly I show you the branches. We have a very special term. We call it the horn of the deer. Surely after a while I will explain in very much detail. And this is a very quick one that you see the position, the places where we put branches. Please notice on the same trunk, I have the branches alternated to each other. One on the right side, the second one will be on the left side. And another bamboo will be the same. Then after this, I'm going to add leaves. Please pay attention to all the leaves, suppose connected or related to those stems or small branches, or rather the art book called the horn of the deers. And all the leaves suppose belong to. And I charge my ink such a way, the first few strokes always in darkest color, because I put black at my tip of my brush, where the upper part I have gray. This is the reason why my first group of leaves always darkest, the last few always lightest. And here you see I put a block slightly on one side of my tip. You can see my leaf with one side slightly darker. Now here, once again, I will show you the way of making trunks. You pause, you squeeze, and you move. When you press harder, you have a very heavy one. when you press less down, you have a thin one. Look, this one, this is a very big because I press very, very hard. I squeeze down. I charge the black ink in the middle so you can see the center part at all. This one, I charge my brush at the tip. I move 2 times. One down, one up. One on the left side, one on the right side. You see the trunk become that big. You also can make it slightly smaller by using side of your brush. This is the side stroke. Again, this is also a side. But for a beginner, this is quite difficult. But sometimes you may not hold the brush correctly. For example, this one is a wrong one because your side not really correct. So I suggest the beginner hold your brush upright to the table, upright to your paper by squeezing hard at the very beginning and then move very fast to the other end of that section. Less pressure, narrower the trunk. Now this one actually I will consider the first part of the second one is something wrong because it's too small. Then by correcting this mistake, I add another one behind it. Please notice the joint. It's supposed not the same height. By adding number 3, then we have alternation. That means the big one, the first joint is lower, I mean. The second one next to it, that one I just did a little bit higher. And so the place I consider as a mistake going to be covered by my leaves in the future. And I'm not satisfied with the composition, so I add one more. Now please pay attention to this group of branches. Spreading creates certain kind of tension because they are all from the same root. Only 3 of them bending to the right and 1 more or less straight. Now pay attention to where the horn of deer should be. Many of beginners, they put the branches from the smooth and the side of a part of the trunk. That is wrong. Or the horn of a deer from the joint. This will be a young one. I put leaves upgoing. There's a special term for this technique. We call the double fishtail. By swing your arm such a way, there will be no hesitation at the very beginning. But pay attention to the 2. One is longer, other one is shorter. And one is higher, one is lower. And another group, also one long, one short, one heavy, one light. This is a very, very important thing. Now when it is moving down, we will not call it the fishtail. Now look carefully, I'm going to show you the horn of the deer. One is in the middle, one on the left, one on the right. The second one, we have 5. Now this is something I consider a mistake. We should not have branches same length. So by changing it, you see I add some more to make them different lengths. When a stem upgoing, we have to have leaves downgoing. This is being called a swallow. And when the branches towards to the side, and the group of leaves also should facing the side. Here, the case is facing the left side. Now this is still upgoing. Then for the upgoing stem, we have to have leaves downgoing, falling down towards you. Looks like you're looking down into a flower, and that flower is facing you. Please pay attention to all the formations I make to just repeatedly the same. And these 2 consider as 2 pairs of double fish tail. This one's slightly different. We call the division. And what is the division? The division formation, always 3 or 4 leaves. Suggest those leaves towards the side, connected to the side-going branches. The hong idea is supposed to make your leaves started from different places. Now, if you have one, the B in the middle, A so short there, and C here, do you notice the A place, B place, C place will have 3 different group of leaves? Many of my students, the beginners, do not see this. They make the A and the B and the C almost the same place. In other words, that means they're hung with 3 branches, same lengths. The distance from the trunk almost equally the same. This is the problem, all the leaves so gathered together. Now, at the A place, I put a swallow. Then the B or D place, I put another swallow. And here, the E place, I put another called between. We may add more. But all of them connected to the hong of the deer. I'm showing you the trunk. I mentioned the second one should be longer. The third one even longer than the second. And the joint suppose never the same height. The second bamboo trunk, the nut suppose not the same place, but showing the progression 1 step higher. And this is the way to make the joint. A curved line with a pause at the very beginning, a pause at the end. And even pay attention to the joint, suggest some kind of progression, some kind of gradation. And the alternation of the hong also very important. Now, once on the right side, you have the hong with a 5 movement. The second one should be on the left side, 1 step higher. It never opposite to each other. In other words, when they're joined with a horn of deer already on one side, the other part should be blank. Now, you see, the first 2 called a fishtail. This is called a double fishtail. I made 2 more called a double fishtail. But the downgoing, we have a special name called the between. This upgoing called a double fishtail. Double fishtail always suggests leaves young, or suggests the mode is happier. But for beginners, this is the easiest kind of formation to practice with. You just wave your hands and have leaves upgoing. Be careful, I said, 4 leaves. 1 always the longest, and 1 shorter, 1 very short, and another one almost completely disappearing. Here, I'm going to show you the difference between and fishtails. Most of the case, when the stem downgoing, we have between. And when the branches upgoing, we have so-called a fishtail. Because fishtail more or less open, wider, and much happier. This is closer, called the between. You see, they almost are facing each other and much closer, much tighter. And this is the idea of showing either after rain or older branches with older leaves. They're all downgoing, and the first 2 very close together. Now, I have more ink. I'm going to show you a fishtail. The fishtail spreading a little bit far away and create an upside-down triangle, and suggesting the distance are very interesting. And this is suggesting a 3-dimensional thing, but facing you. Why? Because the upper part is heavier, while the between is closer, just like a egg, half an egg shell. Now once again, the horn of deer. This one called a new moon, one leaf only. This is called a single fishtail. And I'll add two more called a double fishtail. And we have a horn again. Now if we have one leaf, just go this way. We usually call it a boat. Mostly this is for older branches underneath or the very, very tip of a young bamboo. Now here we will have another being called a goldfish tail with three connecting to one stem. One in the middle, one on the right, one on the left, called the goldfish tail. Now here's another horn, and you see one is long, one is quite short. And this we call the between. No, we do not call this between. We call this division. Why it's called a division? Now, listen. This is related to the Chinese word. This three lines on one side, another three, actually is a character. Today we write that way, meaning is bamboo. And this is another character to say division. When we move fast, we have three connected together and one separating. So this is the way we make very close to the writing, meaning division. Now, the horn, once again. Some can go to the right, some go to the left. And it sprays such a way, very much like an umbrella. Okay, when the stem upgoing, we have leaves downgoing. When the branches are stretched far away to the right, we have a division. Here, once again, we have a swallow. Actually means downgoing leaves. And here is a division towards left side. Do you see the relationship? Yeah. When the stem upgoing, we have downgoing leaves. When we consider as downgoing, although with two wings of the birds stretching far away. And here we see now it's slightly to the right side. And here this one is downgoing stem, so the leaves will be downgoing too. And this is called between. A horn of deer again, and I will explain a little more the five. A student must keep practicing this again and again and again until he's very good. Now the upgoing stem was a swallow. Then here still we could have a swallow, but only this swallow is slightly towards the left, flying to the left. And this one even more the side view, although still we call the swallow. Here we still can call it a swallow, but this swallow, one wing is omitted. We also can have leaves first, as long as you understand where the stem will be. The upgoing stems surely holding these five leaves. And here again, a swallow. It belongs to this stem. If we extend it to the left, then you will see we have division towards the left. But this division is very much similar to a swallow. Only the swallow, one or two wings sometimes being omitted. And here I extend more stems. Since this is more or less upgoing, so I make another swallow. Yeah, this belongs to that upgoing stems. Now this is very much towards the right side. I make a swallow, but I omit another wing. This we call a swallow. The head and the tail and the two wings. This is the most beautiful formation. And this is called what? Called a division. Sideway, side view. And if it is slightly lower, and I make slightly facing to the left, not like the first one, upright, standing in the middle. I hope you can see their relationship. They all belong to this Hanvediya now. And I'm trying to explain to you what is the meaning of the first swallow falling down, the second swallow going other way. Can you see the three arrows? Now I'm going to put the leaves on those arrow lines. Here is the head, here's the tail, and here's the wings. A swallow is flying away against the arrows. And here's another swallow flying against the arrow. It's a different direction. The arrow indicating the stem, but when we call the swallow, now you see it's flying exactly against the swallow. The swallow is a bird flying away. Let me explain furthermore. The tail and two wings. And what it looks like when I'm talking about a bird. This is the head, this is the back, this is the tail of a swallow, very much like a pair of scissors. And these are the uplifting wings. And we could have the swallow flying different positions. For example, if I shorten the tail and widen, prolong the wings, looks like the bird is landing with the head almost showing towards us. Yeah, the wing is on the left side, very much foreshortened, and another wing is on this side. And this is the landing bird, meaning the tail a little bit foreshortened. Once again, foreshortened on the longer wings as a landing bird, or rather landing swallow. And the swallow could be other way. Do you notice the head is turning to the other side? Yeah. This branch is bending this way. Now, once again, I show you the side way, making an old, very old branch. A trunk. When it's old, you may make the broken. When there is no more ink, and look carefully, the curved line suggests the roundness. And these are the roots of two very old and broken bamboo. Now I add some also old but the smaller branches. This is down below. And I'm going to tell you where the swallow, if it's showing the oldness, where it would be. This is the swallow. Because our viewpoint is rather high. So this is a very old one, and with the leaves spreading like that. And here is not good for fishtail, not good for goldfish tail, also not good for division or between. Now if we have a younger bamboo, narrower, and spreading happily. Now, if we're going to show, if after rain, or a very misty morning, the dew still heavily on top of each leaf. This is the reason why all the bamboo stems, or rather trunks, bending and bowing, like a person bowing. Why? Because the top so heavy, all the leaves are so wet with lots of dew drops on it. So the horn also should be curved, also should be bending, especially the long one. Do you notice that the long ones bends even more? Now this is the bamboo should have all the swallows. Then many cases we will call this early morning bamboo with heavy dew on top of the each leaves. Not necessary to say old. The first one showed is very old. And they are very heavy downgoing, although those stems are upgoing. And there's one more thing we have to understand. We may put lots of hardware for each of the joint. But to come to the leaves, you have to make groups. Now I'm having 3 groups. Now add 1 and 2 will be all right. But we prefer to have an odd number, not to make same height, same length, same thickness. I found the first group should be heavier, so I add lots of leaves for the first group, but they are much heavier. And the third one, where to have swallows. This is the place, the very top of the tree. This is supposed to be the top of bamboo, very much the end, almost touching the sky. The lower part, what we do not see. Now this is the way to make a swallow. This heavy swallow means a young bamboo with lots of leaves at the tip, or rather at the top of the tree. Because the stem is so young, so weak, and the bamboo itself got a lot of heavy, very hairy leaves, and this is the way to show the top of the tree. So this is another place we will have swallow. The swallow is for the top of a bamboo tree. Surely we may have a fishtail for top of a young bamboo, but this is understandable. I already show you that technique. Now, where we will have division. I just explained that division is the side view of a group of leaves. Now here I show you 2 bamboo trees. They're slightly bending to the right because I'm going to suggest winged. So the horn of the other side bends also towards right. Now I'm going to demonstrate where we put divisions, and the whole composition everywhere divisions. Now I have to have lots of ink, saturate my brush in such a way. Now for this composition, everywhere division. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I add even more branches. They are all called division. It's not a swallow anymore because this is the side view, sideways. Here you can see the wing blows very strongly from left to the right. And also remember what I said, we should have 3 groups or 5 groups or 7 groups, never the same height, never the same size. Here we have another group of leaves, and this is the way we have composition. Why? Because I arranged the horn of the deer such a way already. Automatically, those leaves will belong to the horns. I emphasize the lower part and the group. And this is very windy. But when I turn my paper the other way, it's a ringing bamboo. The ring is so heavy, so hitting the bamboo, the whole tree is bowing and bending, almost touching the ground. I add a few more branches, suggest the rings are really heavy, pulling everything down. Not necessarily last night, very heavy storm, even in the morning, the heavy rain pull the bamboo bending. Now I'm writing this way, saying bamboo after ring. Same composition, same division, but we have another idea. Okay, here we have some other thing to learn. The bamboo, very old, the lower part, almost the roots touching the ground. Each section must be very short. And we are suggesting we are looking down to the ground. And this is the last part of the tree. We do not know how high those bamboos are. Now, pay attention to my curved line. I curve with a concave movement. This suggests they are all lower than our eye level. You are looking down to it. Now we may make some dots, suggest it's very, very old bamboo trunk. Sometimes we even could show some roots, some roots above the soil. That is the way to show the lower part of a tree. The upper part, surely you have seen many times the demonstrations, there are few so-called fungus dots, suggesting the ground, suggesting the earth. Now I'm going to show you another thing. You just saw it, called the bamboo shoots. Early in spring, the bamboo with the shoots coming out. You may continue, make the bigger, and then you make even bigger, and even bigger. And like a pagoda, this is the side way of your brush. And you have to pick a little bit reddish color or brownish color. And this is the way to make bamboo shoots. Bamboo shoots could be narrower. It depends on the size of the bamboo in the future. And this one, in the future, will be a very fat, big, heavy bamboo. And they should be alternated, one on the right, one on the left. And this is the tip of that shear. And here is a very short way, and suggesting those tip of that. In the future, the branches were coming behind it, and everything will become taller and longer. In the future, the size will not be, the width will not be changed. Only the height of the bamboo will be sometimes even 20 feet tall. A little bit reddish, a little bit brownish. And I may add some lines onto it, suggest the texture, the grain of each piece. This is the way we make a bamboo shoot. But also, cases are possible, the ground, we may see very young ones. Surely it was a very young, very small bamboo shoot before, but now already gone, now become a very small, tiny bamboo, and we have only 1 or 2 leaves. This is not a healthy one. Someday the gardener will remove it. But by adding this, I complete my composition. Here, once again, I will discuss about a composition. I make 2 like this. The opens like this, upside down triangle. The upper part wider, the lower part closer. And the nuts suggest the progressing from lower part up. And I add another smaller one, younger one behind it. And we have 3 always very good, because this is the way to show 3 dimension. That means there are always one in front, one behind. There are always one on the left side, one always on the right side. Now, when we have the composition started in the middle with a triangle, we have to have leaves also following the same idea. We have leaves in a group also forming an upside down triangle. Means the upper part heavier, lower part smaller. And this is a very much afternoon. In the afternoon, the leaves dry a little bit because the sun was so hot, so they are all close together. This is the way to have a composition about a triangle, upper part heavy, lower part narrow. And since we have 4 now, I add 1 more to make the 5. This composition is the simplest. Upper part wide, lower part narrow, because I started with 2 bamboo trees spreading as a triangle. Then, if we're going to add a rock, the rock also supposed to have upper part bigger, the lower part smaller, to go with the arrangement of my bamboo trunk. This rock, the lower part is smaller, upper part almost a square top. Now, let's discuss more about the composition. The one I just made like this, a triangle. So I suggest the leaves, suppose each group following the same idea. Now suppose we have a piece of paper here. We have a trunk like this, ringing, so all the branches bending. Then the harmonious deer carry the leaves like this. This is the very basic idea of composition. We have 5. Then, if we have a piece of paper this way, a little bit longer, okay, if the trunk, first, second, the third like this, then what we're going to have, we have to have very curved harmonious deer, and with all the leaves coming down, bending like that. So this is our plan. If a piece of paper horizontal and with very heavy big trunk on one side, then to balance it, we will have a younger one to the right, or from right to the left. And the harmonious deer suppose move similar like this. Then this is another composition. And we may have another composition by looking at this. If all those branches bending like this, then it would be the windy one. The wind blows such a way, bending, make all the leaves towards right, make every harmonious deer moving towards the other way. Now, this is the one I just made, the second one. I'm going to follow this idea, make one for you to see. So-called ringing bamboo. I'm following the the quick sketches I just made a few seconds ago. This is the beginning of my composition. Suggest the ring very heavy and all the branches bending. Now, the horn of deer almost supposed from other part. There are lots of tree, lots of leaves behind some place. My painting is only a part of the whole tree, not showing the trees from the ground like that. I said we have to have 3 groups at least, so I have 3 major harmonious deers. This is very important. Many of my students, especially the beginners, did not see this point. They put a harmonious deer without any system, and they're not thinking about an odd number. Now you see we have a 5 group of harmonious deer. So in the future, we're going to have 5 groups of leaves. Which one the heaviest doesn't matter. Now I'm making the division, and another division. So this is the first group. I will make decisions where will be the second. I'm still emphasizing this group make the heavier. Okay, then we have the first group of leaves bending like the trunk. Then the second group also bending with leaves falling down, because I said this is the idea of raining bamboo. Then the third group should be the smallest. We may stop here. 3 groups, large, medium, and small. But we may continue. I add the one more. Then another division. Then this is another group. Now we have this one also medium size. Then what we're going to do? Then we will add more leaves someplace to make totally 5 groups. Doesn't matter this is the heavy one or light one. Then we have 5 groups of leaves. Now, this is the raining bamboo. Once again, I'm going to write. Now, if we have a chance to turn this paper other way, you will see windy bamboo. Once again, I just demonstrate that if you can turn the other way. Now, here is the original idea. The original idea is similar to this. Now, how about this one? I just made a quick sketches. Okay, I'm going to make heavy, big trunk first on the left side. Now I make another one next to it. Now, pay attention, I never make drawing the same height. Okay. And the become narrower suggests it's behind it. I mean behind the first one. When it is very much lower near the ground, they always become shorter. Okay. Then we have to have one younger one, and from the left side, go behind the 2 and continue to the right side. I'm following the sketch I just made, and here we have to have some harvard ears, meaning branches. And they have to follow the curve line idea. Harmonious design is most important because the Oriental art very much emphasizes everything should be harmonized, not too much contrasting elements. And you can see not only the trunk curved, not only the branches curved, even my arrangement of the leaves will be in a shape, generally speaking, also curved. I mean the outline, the shape of the whole group, especially pay attention to this. Do you see this division very much the same? But the whole group create a continuous bending things from the very roots to this part, like a waving, like a sea waves, one after another. We may even add some more to suggest another wave here. The harmony created by having continuously many waves. Now I'm going to show you once again a composition, but a mirror image. I'm going to have very heavy big bamboo on the right side of my painting. This is the technique I showed you once. Every time my brush is holding very much slanting or almost horizontal to the table, I'm using my tip to carry very heavy dark color and point out to the outside. For the left side, my tip with the block ink facing the left. And for the right side, now this is the left side, my brush tip facing the left. I'm going to charge my brush once again with darker ink on the tip and moving from lower part up. This is the way to finish the right side of my trunk. And so you can see my trunk very big, even my brush is quite small. And both sides have a darker color and the very edge quite sharp and clear cut. And this is the side stroke technique. And a student surely learn how to hold the brush vertically. Now this is the time to learn the side stroke with two movements. Since I'm right-handed, I'm moving a branch horizontally from outside in. This is a smaller bamboo bending towards left. Now I'm adding the joint. I'm adding very old, this is supposed a small but a very old branch with a last year's branch. And I may add a few more very old, stiff and dry honeybee deer, some plain, some broken. Now this is the composition similar to the one I just finished, only it is a mirror image by turning my sketch upside down. And this is another very old branch. Now I'm going to add the leaves. Since I explained to you already, when it is lower and old, we usually have swallows. This is the very old leaf. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Another swallow. And surely we need some more. Okay, the leaves is behind the huge trunk. And here is the old one. I may just have 2. But if I do not like it, I may add 2 or 3 more to make this one another swallow, only incomplete. And I make some broken leaves once again to decorate the lower part. And here I have to continue to make 2 or 3 more groups of leaves, because I said we have to have at least 3 groups. And since this is an old one, I make another swallow, only it's incomplete. And here's another swallow with the and one more. Now here you can see totally 3 groups, and the largest one on the right and a small one down below. So totally still 5 groups of leaves. I'm very happy about this composition, so I'm going to sign and say this is the winter bamboo painted by me. Now once again I will show you the side stroke with a very dry brush at the top. This is a dead old bamboo, and the upper part already being taken and pulled away. And I'm going to make another one. It's a little bit darker. And this is very important. We have to have very wide, very broad stroke, and also very narrow, very tiny, but a very dark stroke. This is the way to show dimension. This is the way to show the distance. This is the way to make our composition more interesting. The 3 lines facing completely different. One to the extreme to the left, one to the right, and one to the up. Now I'm even making the honeybee deer very dark and very tight, very close together to create some kind of a tension. And this is one of the way, the secret to make your composition interesting and powerful. Not only they alternated, they have to have some dark, some light, some strong, some weak. Now I'm going to show you the technique of making snow. A small piece of paper in my hand. I'm making a swallow, but with the center part covered by my paper. You can see the place left untouched in the future will become snow. My paper may carry a little bit of ink here and there. But the kind of small ink spots actually make the painting more interesting. Now I finished the first group. I may add some more to suggest their leaves far behind. And this is a really huge group of leaves, but at the top, all those swallows incomplete, with few places open. In the future, we will indicate those are snow. And I'm adding some leaves to balance the painting. Now, add a gray. Then I add kind of deer to hold those leaves. Once again, I started number 3 groups. I always ask my students, remember that. If 3 groups, 1 large, 1 medium, 1 small. And if you like to have 5, and maybe you will have 1 large and 2 medium, 2 small. Or 1 medium, 1 smaller, 1 smallest. Now we have 5 groups. Now, what is the way to make snow? Now I'm darkening some inside part. I have leaves in gray, suggesting behind the snow covered leaves. Now I'm going to wash my brush and putting very light gray at the top of the group of my leaves, with the tip facing down. By moving such a way, you see the open spaces create that much of snow there. By this alone, you see the heavy snow now on top of this group of leaves. Here again, and the snow on that single leaf. And I'm going to add a few more gray dots, but at the open spaces, they are all snow. There are lots of snow there, and snow also for this group. And a little bit gray, interestingly, entering the trunk will be okay. When it dries, that part will be a little bit darker, but it suggests the shadow. Now you see, I'm going to continue to darken the background. If we have a chance to add much darker, surely use a bigger brush and wash all the way. There is something I like to mention. My gray actually is very, very light, because I customarily put my rice paper on top of a black blanket. The light lost quickly. So you can see even the very light gray, this moment, very dark. But believe me, a few seconds later, the dark shadow will become same gray like the other part. It will be very even. And this is some student, by watching my tape, ask a question, say how come someplace so dark that moment? That is only because the light lost. If any place you leave the white, definitely there will be snow. Or sometimes there are a piece of rock, or sometimes the clouds. But this light gray far away suggests the sky. Now here, maybe this is the ground, have a little bit lighter gray, suggesting the snow there. Now this is the enlargement. You see the snow is very interesting, quite heavy, and that small spots really suggest the shadow of each part of the snow. Lastly, I will show you another type of bamboo painting. This is called outlined. And then you see I start with the trunk, but each part I have 2 lines on both sides, suggests that part of the trunk. I continue the upper part. Still, I'm following the same rule. the trunk, start the lower part, bigger, wider, but short. The upper part will be narrower and longer. This is a broken bamboo. And I'm going to make another one. When it's vertical, usually I move downwards. You have to be careful. The downward one sometimes will move to the wrong direction. For example, this one is a little bit too narrow. The lower part is supposed to be wider. So I have to add one more line there to make the looks wider. Or later, I'm going to put a leaf there to cover that mistake. That means a leaf cover that part. Now, outline bamboo painting, even the horn of a deer supposed to be outlined. And this is not easy. It's much harder than the single lined, than the whole tape showing you how to do the bamboo with single stroke for a single part of the trunk, a branch, or a leaf. For example, here, we have to have the mid-rib first. These 3 leaves, definitely in front of everything. We should not have branches first, because this is the first thing we see. Then, you see, after the mid-rib, I complete the leaf. Then I add horn of the deer, still 2-lined. I continue to make more leaves. I always start at the mid-rib. This is the one going away, foreshortened, and this one very long, and another one will be down going. It's almost same system like the first 3, but definitely this 3 is underneath. And I could make another group of leaves far away. Then I have to, because this is far away, so I'm going to show the stems first. Now 3 leaves. This is going to be so-called a goldfish tail. I have the mid-rib, and this one's very foreshortened and even twisted. And this one is going that way. But you have to know I'm right-handed, so I move my brush from the left side to the right, the same kind of procedure. And I make another one going that way. So very clearly suggests some is in front, and some are in front, some are actually behind them. Now here, mid-rib again, and this going to be a swallow outlined. Now this is 3 basic leaves. I could have another horn of deer behind to suggest there's something in front we see first, and we have to have another group of leaves also suppose in front of this. Then I keep adding. The outline leaves, after you finish, usually we will have color. The color usually we use kind of called a mineral, either called a stone green or stone blue. And that kind of pigment usually put together by some kind of bender, kind of gum. And we apply it very carefully between those 2 lines. That means fill up each sections. We may use yellowish green for the trunk. We use paler green for the trunk, and darker green for the front of the bamboo leaf, and lighter green or paler green, green mixed with white for the other side. And also because a very slow motion here, not only the outline, also the applying the color very slow. So we have to use sized paper or the silk. And that is called a northern school painting. They always have the outline first. Here I'm going to demonstrate a division, showing 3 mid-rib, 1 short, 1 medium, 1 very long. The And we may add some more. And this is a downgoing swallow far behind everything. The northern school bamboo paintings usually also will have outlined, very careful, showing each small detail of the feather of the bird. And surely this will be in some other time, some other tape. Now, until you feel satisfied, then you may stop. But the color we cannot do in this tape, but only I let you see the difference between the free stroke and the outline. Do you notice that for the leaves in front of the trunk, you have to even do the leaves outline ahead of time, then later indicate where the trunk would be. This is the reason why I say it's harder. And come to the bamboo shoots were even more difficult because there will be lots of detail for you to study, and the color will be the second problem. Now, this is the end of the advanced bamboo lesson. Look carefully when I move my screw. Do you see on the screen every time you have a different composition? A good bamboo composition, suppose like this, doesn't matter what part, how big it is, you always see a good composition that is a painting supposed to be.